Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss in internet shitlords, and today I am doing a review of Fiends and Phantasms of Yankton. And you never heard about it? Don't blame yourself. I never heard about it either until it was sent to me for review. And it is a kind of modern, weird horror or weird occult, or I don't know exactly what to call it, paranormal. Let's call it a paranormal RPG, right? So in this context, it is similar to games like Wretched New Flesh or The Invisible College. As you can see, it's in print. It's from Bosbat Games, and the author is Alexander John Hay. And one thing you'll note is that it is based on something called the Ultra Now RPG. Now, I had no idea what that was. I was unsure about, at first when I got this, I thought it might be an OSR product, but in fact, it is not. It is kind of a weird hybrid sort of system that is not really... It's not really fully OSR compatible. I guess it could be made to be, but it seems to me like the system is basically some kind of fantasy heartbreaker, right? Someone who said, "Oh, I can make a better system than D&D," which is really funny these days, right? Like, why would you do that? Why not make a game that is an OSR game that is compatible with D&D, but change the parts that you want to change to fit what you want it to be? Right? Because unfortunately, like what that means is, let's say you're looking at, I'm going to buy 2 out of 3 of these games, right? And all other things are equal. Well, you can use anything from here in here with almost no effort, and vice versa, right? With this, you're going to have more difficulty. It's a bit of a problem. That's why I always try to recommend to people who ask me for advice when they're making a new game that unless you have a really, really good reason not to use OSR as your system, you should probably use OSR as your system, and modify accordingly to what you want. So the basic story is quite interesting. It tells you that the setting is Yankton, South Dakota, which is a little college town on the Missouri River, and attracts a lot of RVers and stuff like that. But it's actually a nexus for alternate universes, for multiple domains, and that there are certain people that can slip in and out of multiple domains and alternate universes, like Meatball. I'm pretty sure she can do that. And they end up spilling over into places here, and from here into places unknown, right? So it's quite interesting, right? And the characters are basically agents who are in charge of finding places where those like intersections between realities have been caused, and they're in charge of dealing with the danger of supernatural forces in this universe, and to track people who have the ability to travel between universes. So it's pretty neat. From the general vibe of the game, I'm going to tell you first of all, before I go on with that thought, the book is soft cover. It's got a 12-page adventure at the end. The book itself, the rules itself, go to 80 pages. So yeah, that's counting I guess they put the open game license, even though their game is not, in fact, strictly speaking, OSR. But it's very close, right? So I can see how you could very easily run this with an OSR system. It would take very little effort. You just have to not use the lame stuff in this system. For example, that it has point by character stats, and there's only 4 stats: strength, dex, mind, and charisma. So you would, theoretically, you could just have 6 stats and roll them, like God intended. Okay. Characters have armor class, hit points, and then they also have skill points and stuff, because there are skills, and there's karma points, which let you redo bad rolls, which is not all that great a mechanic, but it's not, it's not horrifying. So you have a character start at level 0, and after their first encounter, where another, I think, separate product is recommended, because I don't think that's the thing in the back here, or is it? Am I remembering wrong? Past 80, where are we? Here. Is this? Oh yeah, this is actually it. They put it in here. Okay, so this is the Kelly Bed and Breakfast is the first adventure, right? And you can see there's some art interspersed. It's in black and white. It's all kind of interesting. I think, like, I was thinking a lot as I was doing the review of this book of kind of what are the differences in style, and like, okay, so this Wretched New Flesh, as you might remember, if you haven't seen it, you can watch my review of this product by the Red Room. I've now received the second edition of Wretched New Flesh, as well as a bunch of other books. So there might be another. I don't know if I'll do a full review of the second edition or just point out the differences, but I guess we'll see about that. But Wretched New Flesh is based very strongly on like the writings of William S. Burroughs and sort of that kind of weird beatnik horror sort of style, and like it's very similar to Over the Edge, the classic RPG. Invisible College is this kind of epic psychedelic transcendental RPG that has like this range of characters, can start almost like as just street level operatives or secret agents even, or things like that, and then eventually they end up like, you know, traveling to the highest planes of the cosmos and seeing like these unbelievably trippy things, you know. And Yankton gives me the feeling of like, well, I mean, the first thing that I thought, and this isn't fair, right? I'm not saying this is what it is, because it's not really about, it's not meant to be comedical or something, or goofy or something. But you remember that old show? I mean, it's only guys my age will remember it, Erie, Indiana, right? Like it made me think of that, right? It's like the small town where weird stuff happens. So I guess nowadays it could be that what's that one? The Pines show, the animated one. It's like something like that, right? It's like the weird, creepy Americana town, right? And so that's a very working class kind of occult or paranormal or horror story, right? So it's like a bit like if the the soundtrack of like Wretched New Flesh would be something like, you know, maybe the Velvet Underground, you know, mixed in maybe with like The Cure or something like that, right? And it would be that all the way through, right? And Fiends and Phantasms of Yankton would be like probably somewhere in, you know, like it would be a mix of like Joy Division and maybe like Alice Cooper, you know, like, and it's that all the way through, right? Whereas Invisible College, now to be fair, it's a much bigger product. It runs this kind of gamut where it can be like starting from stuff like something like that would the soundtrack would be the Smiths or the Buzzcocks, all the way to like, you know, at the top psychedelia level, it would be something like Hawkwind and Pink Floyd, you know. So this is the different varieties that depend on what you want, right? Like this is the normal town gone weird, and this is like because these two are especially comparable in that sense because they're both in a city, right? Specific cities, right? Whereas this is more of a jet setting game. You know, this is an Americana town, right? Like the classic Americana town, but it has all these weird things in it, right? Which is very much an American Gothic, I guess you could say, right? Wretched New Flesh, on the other hand, is like the strange foreign place, right? The place that is like weird and foreign and sophisticated and incredibly dangerous because it's so weird and foreign and sophisticated. Whereas this is about being incredibly dangerous because of all the creepy secrets in the American town, right? Anyways, enough of that meta level analysis. I feel like a movie critic or something at this point. Characters will then become level 1 after they complete the introductory adventure, and they will have extra skill points to put into skills. They get more talents from a talent list. They get an increase in hit points, and they get a karma point, right? And so the classes are not really classes. They're archetypes. So you have like strong and tough is I guess a class, right? The strong, tough guy, the fast guy, the smart guy, the dedicated guy, the charismatic guy, the cunning guy. So it's a bit like what D20 Modern used to do, you know. And in skills, there are only really 5 skills, apparently, which are physical, subterfuge, knowledge, communication, ESP. I've got to say, that makes for an elegant skill system that would be totally in fitting with the OSR kind of ethic, right? Like, you don't want a really complicated skill system. You don't want like a thing where you have to spend a ton of skill points and builds and things like that, right? Now, talents are specific abilities that you get that can be used in specific situations. There's no such thing as saving throws, it points out. You use physical plus strength or dex bonus of fortitude and reflex saves, and magic is ESP plus mind. Note, characters are more competent than everyday guys, right? And karma points are basically reroll points. It's probably not a good thing. On top of which, there's also like advantage and disadvantage. So sometimes you will roll 2 dice with the best or worst counted. So if someone is aiding your character, you get to roll with advantage, etc., etc. Then it gets to the combat. Like, a lot of this is very, very similar to D20. So I'm thinking that this is very clearly a fantasy heartbreaker of a, I think not of the OSR, but closer in a way to the old D20 like 3rd edition system, right? There's some basic stuff on magic, the 5 realms that you use in magic and the 4 actions, and you combine those to do magical effects, I guess. There's some possible powers. So like if you're sensitive or something like that, or you could end up, using communicate, sense and mind, sense or mind, or communicate with or sense and mind. Okay. So that would let you like to read people's thoughts, right? And it's all basically checks, so this is, I guess it's all right. Combat is abstract, 6-second rounds. So again, it's not super hard to adapt all this to OSR, but it feels like the extra steps were unnecessary. It would have been so easy to just go full OSR with this, and that would have been easier. But if you find out that you kind of like the concept here, it still makes it quite simple. There are some additional stuff that is like chase rules and things like that, hazards. That your mileage will vary whether you want to keep it out or not when you're using it. Counter level and level advancement. Talents. So talents are, I guess, the equivalent of feats from like 3E and D20. And I am not, I mean, in some ways it seems like these like get closer to the actually what we would call skills, right? And it leads one to say, well, okay, so like, I think if I'm understanding correctly, it just adds to your check to do those specific things. So in a way, these are more like skill specialties than they are actual like feats or talents, right? They're actually, most of them reflect training, although some, like Well Connected, is probably, I mean, it reflects effort that you had to do anyways, right? But it's not exactly training. There's vehicle rules, and all of this is very good. It's all fine. Creatures and monsters. Rules to create your creatures and monsters. Spectral Analyzer is a gadget that every character has from the like domain conclave, the institute that you work with, that allows you to have sensors to detect weird shit. then we get to, hang on a sec here. I'm going to switch sides here. So we've gotten to the other half of the book. Meatball's complaining. Well, I need this arm here, Meatball. So these are like costs of weapons and such. And then you have the appendices. So you can notice that most of this is just the rules, basically. And then it's only when we get to page 75 where you get some guidelines to the types of characters you could make, which I guess could also serve to create NPCs. And then it goes straight to the first novice level adventure. So the amount of like material that is available for like the context is quite small. And I wonder, I haven't actually asked the guy, I should do that. Or maybe he will comment. Maybe I hope that Alexander John Hay will pay notice that I've done this review, and he will come and comment in the video about what additional products are available that expand. Oh, look at that little foot there. That expand the universe, let's say, of the Yankton setting, because I see a lot of potential in it. But I can tell that this is like there's a bit of lack of refinement of experience in this product. Like I think that there's ways for it to go yet. So like I think if he does a bit more work, and then maybe if he does like a combined edition where he adds more setting material to this product. Or I guess if he has a separate setting book, but he didn't mention that to me. But if he does, great. Well, I mean, I'd want to see what it offers in terms of the location, because really the setting is much more interesting than this system, which is really just, for most of us, it's going to be the OSR with extra complications. We have to decide whether we want to keep or not, so I don't know. But it's an interesting little product for a start. I think I want to encourage the guy that made this, and I don't know where he got this concept, but the concept itself is good. It's a very interesting concept. It's very playable, and I hope that he continues to develop it and hopefully does a new version of it, perhaps. Like just like the Red Room, even though they've only been around for like a year, are already putting out new editions of their books with like improvements from mistakes that they made in the earlier editions, possibly some that I'd mentioned in some of my videos even. Don't be afraid to like revise your book and release it again, and maybe release it as an OSR book this time. And then, it might pick up steam, right? So I hope I hope you're listening to me. What was it again? Alexander John Hay. I hope you're listening to me and you get all this message. And I hope that you don't mind the critic. There are some critical parts here, but as you can see, there's a lot that I like about this concept as well. It's and it fits so well with this kind of like broad genre of occult games that are not about Cthulhu, like, because all of the other occult games are Cthulhu, right? And after a while that gets really, I think it gets really goddamn boring. And so it's way more interesting to have stuff that is, drawing from other sources, whether other sources in literature or whether it's like, actual occultism, So yeah, but that's my opinion on Fiends and Phantasms of Yankton. I hope you like this video. Please share it anywhere you think people will find it interesting, or, well, I guess if it would piss anyone off, but I don't think that this being a review video, it probably won't. But remember, if you like that I do reviews, and you want me to be encouraged to keep doing them on a regular basis, please share the video, because reviews always get less views than any of my other videos, right? And I love doing them, but it really helps to encourage me to do them if, we try to keep up the view count for them, by having those of you who really enjoy it, who are clearly not everybody. I think there's clearly a lot of people who watch my other videos that will just choose to directly skip the review videos. They're not interested in those, right? So if you are interested in them, please share them so that we get a bigger presence for them, I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who shares the video. Thank you so much. And that's about it for today. Be sure to check out all of my products. I'll try to put the link for Fiends and Phantasms somewhere on here, but Check out the Invisible College too, and check out all of my other products that you'll find the description in the more section of my. You just click down on the description of the video, and it'll expand to show links to all of my games. My latest product is Heroes and Villains of the Silk Road, which is a source book for Sword and Caravan that has 120 pages of NPCs for the Sword and Caravan campaign that are incredibly interesting. They have fantastic, they're all based on history. They're not people I made up, right? They're all real people, right? And they have the stat blocks, and you've got also the assassin class now for Lion and Dragon in there. And you have some goodies from the Song Empire, some technology stuff that they had. They were the most technologically advanced civilization ever up to that point, and would continue to have that title until at least the late 1700s. So it's wild what they did. But yeah, so be sure to check out those. Be sure to check out the Invisible College and all of my other products. And thank you all very much. Currently smoking. This is Stanwell Deluxe and Argento Roots.